Welcome to the ATP Project. You're with your host, Steve, and laughing Nick. How are you today?
Laughing again. I was laughing in the last one as well, I know.
What have you drank? What have you been drinking today? What have you been eating today?
No one sees what happens before the camera turns on. I'm getting teased incessantly.
I know. It's funny you getting teased, and it's funny today because then I'm going to now pick on myself straight off the bat because we're talking about anti-aging, and men are shit at aging. We die quicker than women because of a myriad of reasons that we're going to talk about today. Yep. But there's two aspects of anti-aging we're going to talk about. Yeah. The first one is premature death. Yes. We've got to stop that. Yep. Because that's crazy stuff. Premature death, not just dying of old age. That's different. I mean, self-destructing males typically and females to a degree, and we die too quick. And then we're going to talk about longevity and looking at all the biochemical processes that keep us going longer.
Yeah, so tips and tricks around all of that.
Which is what you want to hear. But I want to get rid of the first thing, the elephant in the room, is premature death. The two biggest killers are heart disease and cancers. Yeah. Are largely preventable.
Lifestyle diseases?
Yep, they are lifestyle diseases. Now, all right, you can get unlucky and get cancer, but we can't eliminate heart disease, we can't eliminate cancer. No. But we can reduce them, can't we?
We can.
And we're not going to talk about reduing smoking and don't go
out. Know all that stuff.
Yeah. We don't want to bore you with we want to get into the nitty gritty of stuff. So Nick, it is a terrible thing, aging, because we all go through it. And as you get older, things start to not work as well.
As I put on my glasses?
Yeah, exactly. 10 years ago, I didn't need glasses.
No, I didn't need them 4 years ago. I know. It doesn't. And then once you get them, and I don't care what anybody says, once you get them, that's it. They start to decline very quickly.
My wife's 44 and she's just got glasses.
No?
It's that age. Early, I was 44.
Yeah. I was... It was pretty much when I started here initially. I was 20, a couple of years ago now, 20, no, I don't know. It's about 3 or 4 years ago since I got them, about 40 something.
Oh, she's so I almost got her shift, but it's funny because we are all about, preventing disease. Yeah. And that's what naturopathy does. Medicine is primarily focused on the treatment of disease, which is great. Yeah. And, kudos to them. But they're not really anti-aging people.
No, they're not anti. They're trying to fix a problem that's already there. Yeah. We're trying to, prevent the problem from coming about in the first place. Yep. And then obviously how we can actually extend our longevity. So our health span, Steve. So there's a difference between lifespan and health span.
Well, what are they?
So lifespan is obviously the amount of time that we're on Earth, that we're alive. But our health span is the amount of time that we're alive that we don't have any illness. Yeah. So health span is actually a lot shorter than our lifespan. So what we want to try and do is extend the amount of years that we live disease-free. And
I've had some funny emails about this, but I always say to people, the aim is to die healthy.
Yes, that's right.
And people go, what are you talking about? But it is. I mean, let's say we live to 100 and at 99.5 years old, you start to go downhill. Yeah. And at 99.4, you're kind of healthy. That's a good life. Yeah. But most people these days, they have a heart attack and not really the same, or they've had a stroke and they're not the same, or they've got even just obesity, or they've got, some chronic illness, arthritis or something that's keeping them back. Yeah. So I've just picked on two, heart disease and cancer, and we'll try and group them together because we want to get into the fun stuff about anti-aging. Yeah. But there's things that those things have in common. The first one is obesity, and that's completely treatable.
Yes, it is completely treatable.
So let's say someone comes to see you and they want to live longer and they're obese. What sort of things, what recommendations could you give to people without going into too much detail, because we've done obesity before, but why is obesity important to prevent not only premature death but longevity? Like what adverse effects does obesity have on the body? So
many adverse effects. So they can create heart disease, diabetes, so many other issues. Honestly, the first thing you would do is look at their lifestyle before you do anything else. I mean, you don't go and see a health practitioner and say, give me a supplement to fix me, because that's not how we work. The supplement isn't going to work. So you're looking at their lifestyle factors, which are completely within your your control as to what you want to do for your health in regards to diet, exercise, stress management, sleep, all the things that we always talk about.
Incredible, isn't it? So one of the more common, and look, I think people understand the link between obesity and heart disease, but what they may not understand is obesity also increases the rates of cancer.
Yes.
Now, in men, our most common cancer is a prostatic cancer, and a prostate is a gland that's downstairs there. And people don't understand the link between obesity and prostatic cancer, but there's a very strong link between that. And as men age, most men my age are overweight or obese, about 60 to 80%. It's catastrophic. Our age, 54-year-old, we're crap.
Yep.
We are unhealthy. We typically don't exercise. And I remember when I was in practice, you get people talking about, do you exercise? Oh, I used to play football. It's like, and we just talked before the podcast about things we used to do.
Yes.
And it's like people carry that to the future.
Yeah, 40 years ago, and they still think they're an athlete when they were an athlete 40 years earlier.
I used to play A-grade indoor cricket when I was 18. But if someone says to me do exercise, I wouldn't mention that.
No.
And you shouldn't, because that's living in the past.
Yeah.
So you've got to be real with yourself. You've got to be honest. And if you're overweight or obese, the first thing you should do is get rid of the body fat. We know what causes it now. It's not like I should try and, if you want to live longer and live healthier, then you got to get rid of that excess body fat.
That's right. Yeah.
Because let's get a bit nerdy. Excess body fat increases. There's an enzyme in fat cells called aromatase, and it increases the conversion of testosterone to estrogen, estradiol, a potent estrogen. Now, men like me, if I was overweight and I had a bit of a gut, I would also grow boobs, and that's the high estrogen. We were talking about that before the podcast.
We were talking about that. Yeah, not you growing boobs.
I've got rippling, muscly chest.
Good pecs.
Look at pecs. I've got pecs.
Yeah.
I haven't got boobs, but I can't look at you now. But let's say a woman is obese.
Yes.
They got high estrogen. What does high estrogen do to women with regards to cancer?
Well, breast cancer is very common with high estrogen.
Yep.
Yeah. If they're not metabolizing it well, if they're building it up, and a lot of estrogen also, they can have estrogen dominance, and even postmenopausally, they can have issues with estrogen because a lot of estrogen is created from adipose tissue.
Yes.
So, and the higher fat you have, the more estrogen will sit in those fat cells as well. Yeah. So that's something that women need to be aware of. But breast cancer, pre and postmenopausally, is not uncommon. So
that's very important. So the first thing we're talking about is to really get healthy with regards to getting rid of the body fat. The other thing is cardiovascular health. So exercise is extraordinarily healthy for cardiovascular. It's also an anti-carcinogenic thing you can do. It prevents cancer. And I've got a bit of a bug to bear because there was a story. Someone sent me can I give you one of my pet hates?
Give it to me, Steve.
When someone sends me a link of someone that I must watch on YouTube because they talk health things.
Yes.
There was a doctor, I don't know if I should mention her name. But
maybe don't mention her name.
Yeah, I may mention her name. But she was saying on this with regards to cancer, she said the number one thing that cancer love is acid. And I went, acid? What are you talking about? Okay. So just don't be sucked in by social media, because this was an apparent doctor that talked about acid. Now, I gave you an apple before, didn't you? Did you eat it?
I haven't eaten it yet, so I'm pretty safe from cancer at the moment. But if I eat it, what's going to happen, Steve?
Well, what's going to happen is it's going to cause acid in your gut. And does that give you cancer? Do apples give you cancer? Because what does it break down to? Short chain fatty what?
Acids.
So acids like butyric acid,
all the healthy things we've talked about in previous podcasts,
valerianic acids are good for you.
They are very good for you.
Now, when you exercise, you were saying you did deadlifts this morning, you've got sore legs, which is a build-up of lactic what?
Acid.
Right. So exercise and apples give you cancer, do they?
That must be what it is.
So what I'm saying is a bit of a bugbear is if you're looking at these people that talk, and this was a video on longevity.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, so careful, because, she just said that number one thing was that number two was sugars, which is correct.
Yeah, that is correct. She should have put that one at the top.
But she mentioned acid, so don't oversimplify disease. And, we know that when you measure a tumour, it's highly acidic because it's metabolising glucose.
I was just going to say, and that's where she might have had the right intention.
Yeah.
And if you're not aware of a lot of the science behind a lot of these things, you're not going to hear it the way that perhaps she was trying to send it across. So that's, I think, where the lines blur and that sort of thing as well. And people can say, listen to that and go, okay, it's just acid. Oh my God, I've got to stop eating acidic foods. Whereas it's more an acidity within the body. So that's where people need to be very careful about what they're listening to, how they interpret it, and also looking at the qualifications of the person that's actually giving the advice, or the studies, linked to studies and things that they're quoting. So that information is legitimate.
And of course, one of the most anti-carcinogenic vitamins is vitamin C, otherwise known as ascorbic what?
Acid?
Oh my
oh my God. We've had it all wrong all along, Steve.
Jeez. And this is in fruits and vegetables too.
Yes.
So it's sort of like you just got, it's one of my big bugbears, and it's a friend of mine's brother who just sends me this stuff. And it's like, he just goes, and I used to read back saying, this is just wrong, don't listen to them. But they keep listening to her, and she keeps sending me this stuff.
Oh, no.
And I don't know how to.
No, just.
I don't know how to. I'm typing on my stupid phone while I'm having a crap on the toilet in the morning, listening to this.
You just put a picture and everyone says I did not need.
Well, it's like, because they stay up late at night and they send me this stuff. So first thing in the morning, I go, oh, come on, I don't want to deal with this now.
Oh,
it's as I'm pooping out the soluble fibres with all the acids.
And the short-chain fatty acids.
Yeah, and it's sort of like, come on, do you understand that acid is, so we talked about another podcast, PPIs, proton pump inhibitors, they're antacids for the stomach. They are highly carcinogenic. So you reduce acid in your stomach, you'll get cancer.
That's right.
So
you can do.
Don't get sucked into all this stuff. No. Question everything.
Question everything, definitely.
God.
So, yes.
All right, so that's off my chest.
That's off your chest. So, we are going to talk about ways to, longevity and pathways and things that can help to prolong, extend your lifespan. But, a lot of this is for people who already are quite healthy, and that's what we wanted to premise.
Let's get into that.
You want to be healthy. You can't just be unhealthy, pre-diabetic or metabolic syndrome or cardiovascular disease from lifestyle habits, and then do some of the things that we're going to talk about here and expect them to be beneficial. They will to a degree, but get everything on track first, get as healthy as you can, and then we look at the longevity side of it. Correct. And all these amazing things that we can do to help with that.
So you move out of disease.
Yes.
And I used to teach this. I used to have a long thing I used to teach students, and there was a point here of absence of symptoms. And you had dis-ease back here, and you move up the scale towards what we call the wellness scale.
Yes.
And you and I are sort of in this area because we haven't got dis-ease, chronic disease. So we've got to get people out of this crap first.
Yeah.
And then you move forward to, as you said. Now, what about, have you got any data on how long we live and how's it all going for us?
Yeah, well, I've got a little bit of data about lifespan and health span.
Yeah, good.
Kind of where we're at.
All right.
So this one was Australian and New Zealand populations more so. So life expectancy has increased by more than 6 years between 2000. Sorry, I keep scratching my nose, but there's something, it's itching my nose. So sorry about that, people watching. There's lots of fluff in the room.
You're feeling pretty pepped up at the moment.
That might be what it is,
Yeah.
Yes, life expectancy has increased by more than 6 years between 2000 and 2019. So that's a fairly big jump. So it's gone from 66.8 years in the year 2000 to 73.4 years in 2019.
It's remarkable.
So while healthy life expectancy has also increased from 58.3 to 63.7 in 2019. So the health span has also increased, but this was due to declining mortality rather than reduced years living with disability. So, you know what I mean? So it's sort of not really an accurate sort of depiction. So basically our lifespan is still 10 years longer than our health span on average. So we've got 10 years of living with disease.
On average.
So
10 years is a long time.
It's a long time. If you're living with a chronic disease or maybe a lot of pain, a lot of, not being able to move around, how are you going to have any quality of life? So the whole idea is to try to pull that health span out to the end of your life so that you can, my goal was always to be able to squat and deadlift till I could die. So, and as soon as I couldn't do that anymore, I'm like done. So
you can't squat anymore.
Oh, I can't either. Temporarily, Steve. Temporarily. I got a bad knee. But the thing is to be able to get up yourself and get up off a chair yourself and walk around and that's kind of the goal, to be able to be mobile and not have to have someone to look after you. So that's, I think, everyone's goal.
Absolutely. And live on a handful of drugs.
Yeah.
God, I was at the pharmacy the other day and this lady walked out And she had a rubber band around all her drugs.
Oh, yeah, I know.
She was probably 10 years old, Amy, so she was about 64 or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, in 10 years, I don't want to be anywhere like that. And I know she had Crestor, it's an anti-cholesterol drug. She had propanol, which is an antihypertensive. So she had all these lifestyle diseases. Yeah. She was obese, and she also had some opioids in there, so painkillers.
I mean, and it's a pretty standard progression, isn't it? They call polypharmacy. So you get one medication, and then you may end up with side effects. So then you get another medication. And I know someone very close to me who's been put on certain drugs, and then they've caused issues within other systems in their body, and they're up to like 14 drugs now.
14.
And it's the drugs that are going to kill them rather than to keep them alive in that instant. So, and that's very common. I mean, I see it in clinic polypharmacy with older people where they're just on multiple medications.
Yeah.
And a lot of it can be prevented by lifestyle.
Well, prevented. So what is wrong with the modern world, though? What do we?
So what is wrong with the modern world? So when we're talking about health, lifespan, that sort of thing, our body has something called hormesis. Does something called hormesis. Yeah. So hormesis is basically whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Yeah. So a little bit of, it's like what you said the other day, a little bit of poison can actually be good. A lot of poison will kill you. So it's the same with stressors on our body. So having some stress on our body is actually very good for our health long term. So things like food restriction, going hungry for a little while, exercise is a stressor on the body, extreme heat, extreme cold. Those types of things are actually very good for our longevity in small doses, so acute amounts of these sort of stressors. But the problem with the modern world is we don't really have any of those stressors anymore. Like, first and second world countries, third world countries are a little bit different, obviously. We don't go without food for very long. Some people more than 3 hours and they just think their throat's cut, but they haven't had anything to eat. We don't, we live in climate controlled environments. So we've got air conditioning in buildings and we've got heating. So we're never really putting our bodies into a lot of these sort of hormetic stresses that are actually good for us. So that in itself can be a little bit of a problem. We're not getting those things, those pathways activated that actually are longevity pathways. So
amazing, isn't it? And you're right, because I spoke to another lady who works here. I won't mention her name, but she's saying, "Oh, it's a little bit cold in here today, isn't it?" It's like slightly, but
a bit cold.
It's
really.
not we're sleeping out in a cave like we used to for hundreds of thousands of years.
That's right.
When we were hunting and gathering and all that sort of crap.
Yeah, or like me at home, so I'm just a bit hot. I need the air conditioner on, so a little bit.
And you can adjust it to 24, that's right. 24.5, and
that's right.
Oh, I do that too. I'm not saying I sit there and tough it out in the sun.
No, but what we are going to say is that a little bit of this, doing a little bit of this along the way, actually is going to be beneficial for you.
And people try and avoid this uncomfortableness. They do everything to avoid it. Like if they're hungry, they'll eat. If they're doing anything, slight temperature changes, they'll adjust the temperature just because it's a first world thing.
Yeah.
And if you've got a slight headache, you'll take paracetamol or something like that. So you always try and get yourself out of discomfort and disease. Right. And you're saying a little bit of this, a little bit of stress in the body. Yeah. Like this morning, I had to start work early, but I still went for an early morning run and got up at 4 o'clock. Stressed my body out first thing in the morning because I ran up a hill and ran, just did 20 minutes, but I sprinted. So, and that's good for an old man. But
it is good for an old man. It's impressive.
Thanks for calling me an old man. That's good.
No, you said it, but I disagreed.
I am an old man. Come on, don't but we've got these things. A lot of people lack the energy to do these sort of things. And we've got these things in our cells called the mitochondria.
Yeah.
And that's at the heart of aging and inflammation. Do you want to tell us a little bit about mitochondria and what that held and what they do?
What they are. So mitochondria, so they're little organelles that are in our cells. And there is a lot of mitochondria to every cell in our body. I think the only place we don't have mitochondria is red blood cells.
Yeah, they don't have
one. And these basically are our little energy centers. These are what create our ATP, our energy. So we need to have really healthy mitochondria. And as we age, we actually do lose mitochondria. So the less mitochondria we have, obviously the less energy we're going to produce, all of that sort of thing. So that's kind of why we tend to start to slow down as we get older. But there is a lot of things that can actually impact our mitochondria. And a lot of people have unhealthy mitochondria. They're losing mitochondria from lifestyle sort of factors and things like that. So we need to have healthy mitochondria to make ATP because we can't store ATP, our energy, basically. So it has to be turned over continually. So the mitochondria are getting used a lot and we're turning them over a lot. So we need to keep them as healthy as we can. So avoiding things, such as toxins and nutrient deficiencies, in stressors as well. So chronic stress. So there's a difference between acute stress and chronic stress. So when we're talking about hormesis, that's sort of your acute short-term stress, you're in, you're out. It's like inflammation. So we're going to talk about inflammation. Yeah. Acute inflammation isn't bad. It's actually good. It's when it becomes chronic that we start to have a lot of issues. So we need to have, so back to mitochondria, we need to have really healthy mitochondria. So I've got some really good stats on all of this, but what were you going to say, Steve?
I was just going to say that, the ways to damage your mitochondria are left, right. So let's start with a few drugs. Can you think of any medications that people commonly take, and I mean commonly, to damage your mitochondria?
Yeah. So the two that I would say people take quite often are antibiotics and aspirin. Aspirin's a really common, and antibiotics. How often do people take antibiotics? And they can
paracetamol.
Be really, very damaging to the mitochondria. Yeah.
Oh, and cocaine, damn.
Cocaine, I know, that's on the list. So sorry for the taste, cocaine.
Jeez, now I know. Well, I've got to write that down. Crap.
I had to throw that in for your sake, Steve.
Thanks, just to let me know. Drop me in. And in the methicin, that's a common anti-gout drug. Now, here's the weird thing. It's an anti-inflammatory, but it's also a potent anti-gout drug, which is really good for gout. But you got to remember the gout person is usually the middle-aged fat man with the big swollen toe who's doesn't exercise anyway. So they're going to destroy their mitochondria. So they never feel like going to the gym ever again or going for a walk for that matter.
That's right.
And their toes in pain. Methamphetamine, that's a good one.
Methamphetamine,
Levodopa, which is a drug for your brain. It's an amino acid. It's found in beans. It's a natural thing. But if you take it as a drug, it's good for Parkinson's disease. And NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories.
And look at the last one, Steve.
Geez.
Statins.
Can't stand statins.
And what does statin deplete? CoQ10. We talked about that in the past. CoQ10, very important nutrient for mitochondrial function.
Yep.
So that's why a lot of people, when they're on statins, they can get muscle pain and aches and things like that. They're not getting that mitochondrial energy production that they need. So alcohol is another one that can damage it.
Alcohol and cocaine.
Alcohol and cocaine. So, that cuts you out, Steve. You're in trouble.
There goes my Saturday night.
No,
I'm going to get emails about this, aren't I?
Yeah, totally.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But look, this is all bad news because everybody takes those drugs all the time. Aspirin, it's possible, even Panadol, probably the most common drug taken.
Yeah.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we can really damage our mitochondria. And mitochondria, without functioning mitochondria, you just got no energy or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I've got a little bit of a cool little thing here that might give you a little bit of a picture of mitochondria. So obviously we need mitochondria produces energy and then red blood cell production. So we need good blood vessels to carry around our blood so we can get our oxygen, so oxygenate our body very well. I will say mitochondrial reactive oxygen leakage is a strong predictor for longevity across all species. So having issues with oxygen leakage out of your mitochondria can definitely impact your longevity. And
it's a free radical oxidize, isn't it?
It is. So oxygen, it's essential for energy production, but it can become dangerous when it's not totally controlled. So listen to this for some stats, Steve. At rest, the body uses 1 kilo of oxygen per day. That's at rest.
1 kilogram of oxygen.
Yeah, that's a fair bit of oxygen, really. You think how light oxygen is, right?
Well, about 18 to 19% of the oxygen in the atmosphere is oxygen. Yeah. Most of it's nitrogen.
Yeah.
Then you got trace gases like helium and argon.
So we use 1%, 1 kilogram per day. But during maximal exercise, it can increase to up to 10 to 20 grams per minute of oxygen.
Yep.
So say you're doing an hour of exercise. Yep. So that's a hell of a lot. 1 to 2% of oxygen is lost in normal mitochondrial function.
Leakage,
Yeah, leakage. And then 200 milligrams, now I'm lost. So 10 to 20 grams of O2 lost per day at rest and 200 milligrams per minute at maximal exercise. So 200 milligrams of oxygen per minute is used at maximal exercise.
All right.
So that can create a lot of oxidative stress. So that can sort of explain why as we get older, obviously we're exercising and then life and that sort of thing, creates a lot of oxidative stress, mitochondrial DNA damage.
Yep.
And then over the years, we start to slow down. So energy, oxygen production decreases and all that sort of thing. So people in their mid-50s, sorry, Steve-O, I think you're probably exempt from this.
Probably not.
That's when you see them start to slow down and get a little bit tired and, not have as much energy. And that's because their mitochondrial function is not what it was. There's a lot of damage over the years. Oxidative stress is coming from that. So looking after our mitochondria is really important.
You're right. And I'm too old not to. I mean, when I was 16, 18, you can get away with anything.
Yeah.
You can eat crap and live like crap and stay up all night. In the early days when I used to play music, it was very, very common for me not to sleep at night. Not because I couldn't sleep, just because I was out playing all night.
Yeah. Yeah, I never was out all night. I don't think I've ever done all-nighters. I was a nerd.
Oh, the worst I've done was when I was on tour with the band and we did 2 nights straight.
Wow.
And that was like, it was New Year's Eve. And then we had like the next day, everyone was hanging around, but it was like a big festival thing.
Yeah.
And so we did what was called a recovery session, which was a 5 till 10 gig in the afternoon the next day, just all acoustic, all weird stuff. Anyway, everyone just kicked on, and the publican where it was selling all the beer, they just kept drinking. So they said, can we keep playing? Just paid us more money to keep playing, and they said, we'll tell you when to stop. And it just went all night and the next night.
Oh, God, no.
So,
think of that. So you wouldn't be able to do that now.
Well,
and your mitochondria wouldn't like that either.
No, it wasn't good. It was like, I felt awful after that.
Yeah.
But like nowadays, I'm lucky to make it to 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I know. I'm sort of a 9, 10 at night person.
But,
but we were early risers.
I was exaggerating when I said 9. I'm sort of like 8, 9.
Okay. Yeah, I'm usually 9, but we get up early.
My wife, 7:30 to 8.
Does she?
She's the worst of the worst. Although she got up 3:30 this morning. She was up before me.
Oh, gee.
She was just going to work snorting ketamine up people's noses today.
No, not her nose.
She is a registered nurse. She's in the hospital, but she's snorting ketamine up people's noses.
Great. Okay, I'd like to be in your household anyway. So
she smuggles some home. No, she doesn't. She doesn't.
This is getting worse and worse for you, Steve.
It's getting worse. What's it? So, all right, so you get this mitochondrial.
So mitochondrial. So that can be that can definitely be a significant implication in our longevity and that sort of thing. So we want to make sure we're looking after our mitochondria.
Well, how do we do that?
Some things that we can do for our mitochondria, obviously live a healthy lifestyle, exercise, which we will talk about at the end.
Got it.
Exercise creates new mitochondria.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so we'll talk more about that when we get to exercise. CoQ10, as I touched on before, very important for mitochondrial function.
And which form?
Ubiquinol.
The ubiquinol.
Yep.
Think of alcohol is really good for you. That's why I teach my students, not ubiquinone.
Yes, no, not ubiquinol. So ubiquinol is the active form. It's very easy. Carries electrons through the electron transport chain.
Yeah.
So, and protects against oxidative damage. So it's really good. CoQ10. Obviously, it's depleted as we get older, and if you're on statins, definitely. Alpha lipoic acid and acetyl L-carnitine, really good for mitochondrial production. So that's something I'll give a lot to people who have mitochondrial issues. Yeah, so they're very easy to get hold of. Resveratrol.
Oh,
we're going to talk about resveratrol a lot. It's pretty much the one running theme through all of this, resveratrol. It decreases mitochondrial production, protects against reactive oxygen species, and it regulates SIRT1, which we're going to talk about as well. The sirtuin genes, we're going to talk about that coming up. Glutathione.
You love that one.
I love glutathione.
I do too. It's number one antioxidant in the body.
Yeah, it's amazing antioxidant and depleted so easily. So, the lifestyle and oxidative stress, as the mitochondria was talking about, glutathione would be depleted. So restoring your glutathione level is very important for the mitochondrial function. And vitamin E protects from oxidative stress as well. So there's some things you can do to help with your...
I would love to get a jar of those nutrients.
I know. Down the way.
Because that's just good for everybody.
You can. You can get some really good mitochondrial complexes actually that have got a lot of these good things in them. So that's something you really want to look at. So if we're looking at longevity, that's one thing. Make sure your mitochondria are healthy and functioning
well.
And
you got energy. And you got energy then to go to the gym and build rock hard muscles like you and I.
Yeah.
Well, you.
No, I was just waiting for you to say what you were going to say next. But yes.
Well, we want to do that. Now there are little enzymes that we're going to talk about that grow rippling muscles like mine.
Yes.
And it's called mammalian targeted rapamycin complex.
Right.
Can we just call it mTOR for today?
mTOR for short.
Good, mTOR.
Yeah.
So what's this mTOR stuff and what's it all about?
Yeah, so mentor?
It's a lolly, isn't it? Mentos?
Mentos, yeah, that's dyslexia. I said it back the front. It promotes cell survival through upregulation of protein, lipid synthesis, which boosts cellular metabolism. So mTOR is activated when we have nutrient intake, so eating, basically. Yes. And protein specifically, it works on that. So we've talked about mTOR. I'm sure you guys have talked about mTOR a lot in a lot of podcasts. Yep. Really good. So it coordinates cell growth when we have a lot of nutrient abundance. So that's when we're getting all those amino acids and all those good things in. So very good for growing, basically. Yeah. It's a growth sort of a activator, basically.
It is a good thing.
Yeah.
And you've got the yin of the yang, which is AMPK.
Yeah, AMPK. So adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase.
That's it.
So AMPK. So AMPK is kind of the other end of the seesaw.
Yep.
It's kind of from mTOR. So mTOR, what we want to do if we want to have longevity is we don't want to be activating mTOR all the time. No. So people are constantly eating. So every 2 hours, 3 hours, I need to eat. They're not allowing, they're continually activating this pathway, which is the growth pathway, which can be good for some things, but it can also be bad. So due to mTOR having an active role in the activation of genes related to cell growth, any defects within the mTOR function can lead to cancer development. Yeah, so too much cancers and all that sort of stuff.
That's why when people say, they're eating, 12 meals a day or 10 meals. One guy that I sort of follow, he's passed away about 5 years ago, but he was the most extreme bodybuilder, and it's just fascinating what he's. When people do extreme stuff that may not be conducive for their health. Yeah, and he did pass away in his late 40s. Rich Piano or something, and he's a really muscly guy, and he was just like all focused on this, and he'd said he'd eat 10, 12 meals a day, loads of food, do all the steroids, open about it, just the most extreme guy, but had the massivest, just massive muscles. Yeah. Really fascinating. Unfortunately, he passed away due to a large, just the abuse on the body, just too much of this.
Too much, way too much. And that's where it can come in. And I have seen some studies, and hopefully bodybuilders won't shoot me down for this, but that bodybuilders live about an average 12 years less.
Oh, you're getting emails about that?
I will get emails about that.
But you're a body sculptor.
Body sculptor, yes. Yeah. Not a bodybuilder. But I never did that. Oh, look, I was back in the day of every 3 hours, eat every 3 hours to stop muscle, breakdown, which is quite funny in hindsight when you think about it, isn't it? And things have definitely changed. I mean, I do time-restricted eating now, which we'll talk about. But yes, I think the days of eating every 3 hours, even for bodybuilders, has changed a lot. I think we've realised that that's not the thing. So we don't want to be activating our mTOR pathways continually.
Yeah, this is a longevity talk. We're not talking about how to build massive muscles all the time. Yeah. So you want muscle, but you don't want massive muscle.
You don't want massive. And look, if you want to build big muscles, then you're activating that pathway, then that's fine. It depends.
As long as you know.
Yeah, as long as you know. So we're talking about longevity rather than aesthetically looking a certain way. Yeah. And it's not about stopping all that. We want to get, like I said, the balance. Yep. So what we want to do is we want to activate the AMPK pathway as well. And what that does is that sort of is the counter to mTOR. So when mTOR is actually causing growth and proliferation and that sort of thing, AMPK is sort of all about repair. Yeah. So it's going in and repairing. So you want to have a bit of growth and then you want to have a bit of repair. Yeah. So you want to kind of balance the two out. So AMPK is very, very important pathway to activate, very good for our metabolic function. Yep.
This all sounds great, but how do you activate it?
Oh, we've got plenty of ways we can activate. Well, fasting is a really easy way to activate.
So doing nothing.
Okay, pretty much doing nothing. Yeah, don't eat.
Yeah. Now that's kind of like fasting is a bit more than just not eating. It's not eating for a period of time. Yeah. You say 24 hours. That's a big fast.
Yeah. So I think I said it in now part one of the anti-aging is I look at there's fasting and time restricted eating. So anyone says I fast for 12, 14 hours a day, that's kind of more time-restricted eating than fasting. So fasting, I would say anything over 24 hours.
Wow.
So other than that, time-restricted eating. And time-restricted eating is a very good way to activate AMPK. So even as little as a 12-hour fast, which is very easy for most people to do, eat your dinner and then go to bed and get up in the morning. And
that's say like from 6 till 6 or 7 till 7.
Yeah, that's pretty easy to do.
Oh, yeah.
So most people should be able to do that. If you can't do that, then I would say there's some issues with some metabolic flexibility there.
You can't do it. You could also suck it up, princess, and do it.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, it's sort of like, you won't die, I promise.
Yeah. I mean, I have had clients that say, I can't, I get the shakes, I get all these things, and that's because they've got very significant blood sugar dysregulation. They need to kind of get themselves more fat adapted so they can utilise their fat stores and that sort of thing. But activating AMPK will definitely help your metabolic function, uptake sugars. So what happens is it reads a signal from your mitochondria saying, well, we don't have any ATP, we don't have any energy. Yeah. So AMPK will then be switched on, and that will then bring in sugars, taking your sugars, and then utilise them for energy. So it's replacing the energy that you're not getting from the food and that type of thing. So very, very good for longevity. So the fasting and time-restricted eating is all the thing, isn't it, at the moment? Yeah. So it has a lot of really good benefits. So how does it help with anti-aging? That's what I want to know. Yeah, we've got loads of little ways that it helps here. All
right, we've got loads of ways of how it helps.
Yeah.
But go through those ways how it helps. Then I want to ping you with supplements. What supplements I can take? Because you talked to me about my exercise and fasting.
Yes.
Let's say I'm not a fan. I am a fan. Because you have to do that, but we've also got to think. But there's
ways we can hack it a little bit.
Yeah,
we'll hack it a little bit. Biohacking going on. Yeah. Obviously inhibiting mTOR, as we said, so the fasting. Yeah. So fasting, as I said, it also promotes autophagy.
Yep.
So autophagy is when your body goes in and cleans up all the cells and that sort of stuff, regenerates all your cells, turns them over. So basically it's kind of like goes in and does a bit of a clean up of everything, like running your car through the car wash type of thing, cleans up everything.
Yep.
So that's another way that it helps with your longevity. It generates your mitochondria, so new mitochondria as well. And it regulates glucose as well, so it impacts glucose uptake, breakdown and synthesis. Mm-hmm. So there's some of the ways that it actually contributes to that anti-aging and longevity type impact.
Amazing.
Yeah, so now you want to know, how do we do it?
I want supplements.
What do we do other than
I'm
fasting?
Exercising, I'm fasting. What else
fasting,
can I do?
You're exercising. Well, resveratrol, Steve.
Oh, you sound like a broken record.
I know. Get used to it. Get used to it. Yeah, so activates AMPK in fat, liver and muscle tissue.
That's what we want.
Sorry, no, that's quercetin. That's the next one. So it activates AMPK through inhibition of complex 1, 3 and 5 of the respiratory train.
Yeah,
it's
amazing.
Kind of a whole other thing. Yep. So resveratrol, quercetin is the next one. So that activates the AMK. I love quercetin. I use quercetin for so many things. It's very good anti-inflammatory. It's very good for mast cell, activation and syndrome and all that sort of thing. Antiviral, ECGC.
Epic oligocatecholine. Is that what you're looking for?
That's what I'm. So I looked at you. I can never say that word.
God, I get a bad rep coming to these things. Oh, who's that nerd you were talking with? He doesn't know what he's doing.
I just look at Steve. He knows what he knows. When I look at him, he can say the long word. But it's found in green tea. You know, they say green tea, it's fat burning. Well, it activates AMPK. That's why.
That's how it works.
Yeah, that's how it works. Berberine. We just did a podcast on berberine.
Love to drink it.
Yeah, berberine's great. And I think we mentioned in the berberine podcast, it's good. Yeah, it's good for people who are fasting to extend their fast, but it does activate AMPK. Caution, long-term use. Listen to the podcast if you're a little bit unsure about berberine. Palmitoyl ethylanamide. I love this.
Yeah,
I love this PEA. I'm doing some research on this at the moment. It does so much more than pain management. It's very, very good, but it also activates AMPK apparently. So that's something I'm looking into more because I think this is going to be the new supplement of the moment coming out. I'll
tell you a story. A doctor recommended that to my mother-in-law.
Really? That's forward-thinking doctor.
I went, post-surgery.
Yeah, wow.
Pain.
Wow.
Amazing, eh?
That is amazing. It's very good for pain, very good for fibromyalgia.
What's P? I'm going, what are you talking? And so she sent me, and it's PEA.
Yeah, PEA, amazing. Anti-inflammatory, antihistamine, great for nervous system function, brain health, so many things. So
it's good. It's found in
egg
yolks.
Yeah, yes, it is amazing. Astragalus, I love astragalus.
So good,
very good for anti-aging, longevity. Astragalus, olive oil can actually activate AMPK too, believe it or not,
because of the polyphenols in it.
Yeah, fish oil, creatine.
Yeah.
CoQ10.
Again.
Apple cider vinegar.
Oh.
There's apple cider vinegar with the fat. I'll tell you a little anecdotal story. I did.
Go for it.
Years ago now, I just started adding apple cider vinegar. Did not change a thing. I was quite lean at the time, but I lost 7 kilos just with apple cider vinegar in the case of 2 months without doing anything different.
Yeah, because the acetic acid has a great regulatory role in appetite.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
So apple cider vinegar is great. I tell pretty much most of my clients because it helps with digestion. I've got a digestion podcast coming out. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
But I've
it's probably come out by now.
No, I don't think it has come out yet.
We'll have
by the time this comes out. I forgot. We're coming back in time. Yeah, so apple cider vinegar, and how easy is that? So these are little hacks you can do. So if you can't fast for 16 hours, then try bringing in some of these things, and that can help a little bit with these types of things.
So acetic acid's also in vinegar?
Yeah, in vinegars, yeah. So really good. So
put vinegar on your fish and chips when you're eating at dinner tonight.
That's right. Yeah, that's like having a salad.
Yeah, that's how people read this.
Yeah.
There's someone out there that would have thought that.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, you can't do that. You can't really bypass. Just talking to the people, you can't bypass it that much. You still got to do that. But I would look at time restricted eating as really amazing for so many benefits, as we said, the anti-aging in itself. But start with 12 hours, and then creep it up. So, and let me premise, men, no worries, you can do it. Because men can do anything.
Well, we can't
without any major concerns. Women, a little bit different. So cycling women, you've got to be a little bit more careful with your time restricted eating around your cycles and energy and all that sort of stuff because calorie restriction can suppress your progesterone production. So you want to be a little bit careful about that. Some women are sensitive, and if you have high stress as a woman as well, not so good to do your fasting, but you could do a 12-hour fast, so that's quite safe.
Yeah.
But I'd probably stick to 12, 13 hours. But, I'd say go otherwise if everything's great and everything's balanced, go up to 16-hour fast is quite good. And that's not super hard to do.
No.
So I've actually, since I started researching this, gone back to doing the 16-hour fast. And I forgot. It used to be so much easier than it is now. I use an app just because it keeps me on track. But I don't do it every day.
What does it say? Not now, don't eat now,
it just says
stop eating.
No, it's just a fasting clock. So you press it when you start your fast, and then you press it to finish your fast, and you get stars if you get going your full fast or not. But I like, because I'm a tracker, I like to track and I like to see that clock counting down. So I'm like, I've got 2.5 hours left. If I see the visual, I'll do it. Whereas if I just don't, if I'm just in my head, I'm like, no, I'll just eat now. It's fine. So, but I don't do 16-hour fast every day, but I'll do a 14-hour fast standard. Yeah. So fasting, so that's great. Time restricted eating is amazing. But all those other supplements that we talked about, they're great to add in because they can definitely increase that AMK activity.
So we've talked about mTOR, AMK.
Yep.
What about NRF2?
NRF2.
Now what's that big word? You can say the big word.
Nuclear factor euthyroid 2 related factor.
That's it?
NRF2 or NRF2.
Now, NRF2, is this a goodie or a baddie?
So NRF2 is a really goodie. So NRF2 gets switched on when we have high levels of oxidative stress. So it comes in and cleans everything up. Basically, it's a sort of detoxifier and all that sort of thing. So we want to have good activation of our NRF2 pathways. So oxidative stress, as we talked about, environmental toxins, stressors, pollution, UV light exposure, aging itself can create oxidative stress. Yep. So when this sort of registers that oxidative stress level getting too high, it comes in, cleans up all your free radicals. So that's a very...
There's herbs that boost it up. We'll talk about that in a sec.
Yeah.
But isn't it an incredible agent? And unfortunately, this stuff declines as we age.
It does. It all starts
So we need to keep it going.
That's what these little things, we want to kind of boost these little pathways up all the time because they do decline when we age, and that's where the aging sort of process is happening. So we want to try and shift these pathways and ramp them back up again.
All right.
So we want to make sure we've got good NRF2 activations.
Well, tell us how to activate it.
Wow. Don't
leave us hanging.
What do you think would be one of them, Steve?
Oh, jeez. It's going to be quercetin, isn't it?
It's going to be quercetin and resveratrol. They're two standards. They're the two
Are you sure you're not just cutting and pasting from your last
I could have. Yes.
thing,
no. These are amazing. So resveratrol, quercetin, very good NRF2 activators. Luteolin.
Yep.
Samaria's thistle. I love Samaria's thistle.
Yeah, milk thistle.
Amazing.
Silybum marianum for the Latiners out there.
Love it. Curcumin.
Yep.
Really good as well.
Turmeric. Yep.
ECGC again.
Yep.
Yep, and some sulforaphane, so from broccoli sprout, really good. Broccoli sprout, amazing. I use it for a lot of things. Good for gut health, good for detox, good for estrogen detox, good for antioxidant status, really good. So there's some things you can add in as NRF2 activators to help boost that pathway.
Don't forget, it's in season right now, broccoli.
It is in season, yeah.
So gorge on the stuff while it's in season.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yep. And if you have issues with thyroid, don't be worried about the whole you can't eat cruciferous vegetables if you have a thyroid issue. That used to be the thing. You can, just got to lightly cook it. Yep. And you're not going to be eating enough that's going to create such a big issue unless you're eating bowls and bowls of it every day. Yeah. So as long as you're lightly cooking it, lightly steaming it, you can have your broccoli. Absolutely. And it's very good for all those things. So broccoli is amazing, but broccoli sprout's very concentrated. And the broccoli sprout doesn't have any goitrogen in it. Yeah. So that's a really good one as well. Yeah, thyroid problems.
Amazing.
Wow. So activate your NRF2 pathway as well to clean up that oxidative stress is another one.
Now, we're not done with the 3-letter acronyms, are we?
No, there's more.
What's NADH or NAD,
NAD,
please?
well, the NAD plus is amazing. So this is...
What's the long word for it?
So nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide.
That's it.
NAD plus. So that...
Plus is the hydrogen, by the way, you see, and it's a plus,
It's a plus, yeah.
So it's an acid.
It is an acid.
Because plus thing is a proton, which is an acid.
Yeah.
So this is an acid. So this will give you cancer, right?
Well, apparently so.
I'm picking on that doctor.
No. So NAD, this is like one of the anti-aging supplements that's been around. It's a very good shit. Such good NAD. So it's present in every cell in the body. It's critical for DNA repair.
Yep.
Cellular production and gene expression.
Yeah.
So it's a really good one. And these NAD levels naturally decline like everything else as we get older.
So I've got bugger all.
Bugger all, Steve. So you might have to take something that we're going to talk about. So so we want to make sure we have really good levels of NAD, and some amazing things can happen when we up our NAD levels in our body, which we'll talk about.
Because mine's going to be low at my age. What are we boosting here?
So the way to boost NAD, so we can't just take NAD because it's quite unstable and your gut will break it down. So we can't just take NAD, but we can take nicotinamide riboside.
Yep.
Or we can take nicotinamide mononucleotide, so NMN, really hard to say fast. So that's
NMM.
NMM. So I can't say it fast. Do it again.
NMM?
NMM. I can't do it. There you go. So nicotinamide mononucleotide is NMN.
Yep.
But in Australia, it's a little bit harder to get.
Yeah.
So we use nicotinamide riboside.
Yep.
So basically B3, so niacin converts to nicotinamide riboside. Then that converts to nicotinamide mononucleotide, which then is converted to NAD in the body.
Yeah.
So obviously the less sort of pathways we have to go down to get to NAD, the better. So NMN is great, but NR, it's like so difficult with all these
acronyms. Acronyms, crazy.
Nicotinamide riboside, very good as well to have, and that will directly boost your NAD levels.
I know you've got a personal story.
I've got a personal story
because I was checking out your legs before.
Yeah, and that sounds very weird, but not for the reason that you would think.
No, it is weird. I'm joking. No, there's a story. There's a story. You were showing me your legs actually before.
I was showing my legs. I was showing my ankles actually.
And I'm saying, look, I'm married, Nick. No, was that?
No, it was nothing like that.
Why were you showing me your legs? What was going on?
Well, so let me go back. Let me backtrack here. So we're talking about nicotinamide riboside or nicotinamide mononucleotide.
Yep.
And all the benefits that I'm going to tell you what the role of NAD does. But before we get to that, there has been a lot of anecdotal reports of NR, nicotinamide riboside or NMN, actually working on female hormones.
Oh.
So women who perhaps aren't cycling anymore have started cycling again. So I like to play around with things, Steve. I like to experiment. And generally when we do research on things, I'll go out and experiment with the things we're going to, because, you've got to know what's going to happen.
I'm the biggest experimenter on earth.
If we're going to give things to our clients, we need to kind of know what's the deal and what if they work and all that sort of thing. And there's different forms and what's right, what's not. But I've been taking resveratrol and nicotinamide riboside, and I've been taking for a little while, but I upped my doses. And I don't know, full disclosure, hormonally, I'm nearly 50, so they're declining, let's say. I started upped my dose, and within a couple of weeks, my hormone levels, because I track my bloods quite regularly, FSH went down and my estrogen went
That's follicle stimulating hormone. Now, usually elevated follicle stimulating hormone means you may be coming into menopause. Maybe.
Yeah. So the higher it is, obviously, the more likely you are to be menopausal. And then my estrogen came right up. So, and I can get a little bit puffy when I get a bit of estrogen. Well, I've got quite a lot of estrogen in this case. So in my case, it actually has boosted my hormones. Wow. So is this, and I'm going to do a lot more research into this, could this be a key for postmenopausal women?
Wow.
Getting the dose right so that you're stopping a lot of hot flushes and all of that sort of thing. So I found that fascinating, that in a few weeks of upping my doses that I had significant changes from nicotinamide riboside. So that wasn't even NNM, which I'm going to try next soon, because why not? One works.
Druggy.
I'm just going to give it a go.
Can you want to talk about your symptoms before you started taking, or before you upped the dose?
Hot flushes, getting a lot of hot flushes, couldn't sleep, the standard kind of hormonal stuff you get when you're 50-ish. Overnight stopped.
Isn't that amazing?
Not overnight, but within 2 weeks, one day I woke up, nothing. No hot flush, I could sleep. And that's literally within 2 weeks of upping the dosage of these supplements. So it just shows how powerful they can be. Yeah. You've got to use them right. You've got to get the doses right. You've got to use them in the right way. So don't just run out there and start taking bucket loads of this stuff. You want to make sure you're doing it the right way. But amazing. So, I think increasing your NAD levels is so important for when we're talking about aging. So how does NAD have a role in aging?
Yeah, what's it got to do with the price of fish?
So cellular energy production. So that's what it helps with that. So NAD plus carries high energy electrons in the process that creates cellular energy.
Yes.
So NAD is very important.
Electrons moving down a chain is called the electron transfer chain, and that makes us ATP ultimately. Yeah. So when you say that, that's a really important way to boost energy in the body.
Definitely cellular energy. And I have to admit, I found my energy has definitely increased. I think I said to you I was in the gym, and I was also lifting a lot heavier as well. So energy-wise, great.
Wow.
So that's really good. So you're looking at my ankles because they're a bit puffy. That's all. So we're going, I've got puffy ankles. And that's an indication for me that my estrogen has gone up, and my blood tests also showed that as well. So that's why you're looking at my ankles.
That's why,
not for any other reason.
Because the wife listens to this.
It's like, look at my puffy ankles, Steve.
She's going to have her headphones on and she's going to throw them off. Why were you looking at another girl's ankles?
He's looking at the puffiness of my ankles. So, which, was the fact that my estrogen has shot up. Yeah. So really fascinating. Really fascinating. So yeah.
Wow. Now there's lots of other cool biochemistry in the body, but one my favourite is the sirtuins, which is there's 7 of them.
There is 7 of them,
and we sort of want to activate them, and we want to look after them, and that sort of thing. You want to just give a quick rundown what they do and where they work in the body. 3, 4, 5 are in the mitochondria, and the rest are in the nucleus, and so the 2's in the cytoplasm or something.
Yeah. So we've got 7. 7 sirtuins. So sirtuins basically are called, the nickname, the longevity genes.
Yes.
So they were only discovered about 20 years ago. Yeah,
I did a 7 of them about 20 years ago when they were discovered.
Oh, there you go, when they first came out.
Yeah,
so
like
they play a key role.
Jack about them.
Oh, and they're so cool though. Like all these things are really cool. They play a key role in cellular function, cellular health, aging, and longevity. That's why they're called the longevity genes.
Yep.
So there are 7 of them. So NAD levels naturally decline with age, as we said.
Thanks.
And the sirtuins decline right alongside them. So when NAD levels go down, so do your sirtuin genes as well. So they all 7 sort of behave a little bit differently, but they have the same goal. So that the goal is to regulate cellular health and control the aging process. Yep. So Sirt 3, 4, and 5 are located in the mitochondria.
That's right.
1, 6, and 7 are in the nucleus, and Sirt 2 is in the cytoplasm. So all can slow down the cellular senescence, and we're going to talk about cellular senescence next as well, because that's a really cool process. Isn't. So they can all slow down cellular senescence, but some of the main functions of the sirtuins include repairing damaged DNA.
Yep.
Upregulating mitochondrial activity. So there's that mitochondrial connection again. Increasing antioxidant pathways. So again, that NRF2 activation as well with that antioxidant switch. Responding and adapting to cellular stressors as well. regulating telomere activity, which that's coming up as well. Telomeres and how to lengthen our telomeres.
Yeah, I want to make them longer.
We want long telomeres, yeah. So it helps to regulate their activity, controls inflammation, and generates cellular ATP production. So our sirtuins do a lot. Oh. So I've got some like highlighted things here.
Just give us a few highlights of that, because there's a lot of information.
There's a lot of information.
What are some of the highlights you found out about?
All right. So a 1999 study published in Genes and Development found that overexpression of the SIRT2 gene extended the lifespan of yeast by 30%.
Didn't you love that?
That's amazing.
That's yeast, and I know we've done studies, and it may not translate to humans.
May not, yeah.
But what if it gives you 5%?
Exactly.
It's 5 years.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's not a lot done on humans yet, but there's a little bit. But, usually it's mice. In the longevity studies, mice, yeast, worms, they're the main kind of creatures that it's done on. A 2013 study in cell metabolism found that increasing SIRT1 in the brain led to delayed aging and extended lifespan in mice.
Wow.
So showing that sirtuins are involved in brain health as well. So how cool is that?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So most of it has been confined to yeast and animal studies, but there was a study that SIRT3s have been linked to increase human lifespan in centenarians.
That was a correlation study. So what they did was they found that they were much higher. So correlation doesn't mean causation, but it gives a really good indication of it.
Yeah,
I mean, incredible about all the stuff that it does.
Yeah.
Now come on. How do we increase it?
There's more. Well, let's just go cardiovascular health, really good for that as well.
Yep.
Metabolic health, so SIRT1, particularly for that one. Cognitive health, as we said, so the brain.
What more do you want? There's three of the biggies,
There's more, I know. And how to increase it. Okay, so.
Yeah, I want to increase it.
You want to increase it?
You got to tell me I've got to go to the gym, don't you?
I am going to tell you to go to the gym, yeah. I mean, that's the theme going all through this. Exercise, it definitely activates all these longevity pathways. So increasing...
As long as you don't tell me resveratrol does this thing too.
Oh, I better close your ears then, Steve. Yes, it does. So resveratrol, yes, it does preserve it looks like it preserves sirtuin function. So, so that's pretty cool. So the fun fact about resveratrol, everyone thinks it's this antioxidant, the activity that's causing all these really great results. It doesn't appear that it's any antioxidant activity that's causing these results. It's more the ability of resveratrol to turn on the body's defenses. So it depends on the body's defenses to stressors.
Right.
That has all these benefits, and that activates your sirtuins as well. So interestingly, and resveratrol, let me say, it is in red wine, but to get the doses that you would need to be therapeutic, you'd have to drink about 1,000 glasses, I think.
Oh, that's something like that. That's a Saturday night for me.
So, okay, there you go. That's right. Your alcohol and your cocaine night.
Yeah, the cocaine bender.
That's
Look,
right.
as long as you don't tell me I have to starve, then I'll be happy.
Well, I won't tell you that.
Go and say it.
Well, calorie restriction does support SIRT 1, 3, and 6. So calorie restriction is one. Increasing your NAD levels, so with your NMN, nicotine, or your NR, nicotinamide riboside, can be helpful as well. Curcumin, again, supports SIRT1 expression, and quercetin, all the standards, really.
It is all the standards, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you can see a theme running through all this.
Yeah.
And it's incredible, but we'll save the theme until we go through one more part of longevity, which is telomeres.
Telomeres. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about telomeres.
I think a lot of people have, haven't they?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're involved in anti-aging.
Hayflick limit. Has anyone heard about that?
The what?
Hayflick limit.
Hayflick limit.
Yeah, Professor Hayflick developed a limit of how much cells can replicate, about 50 times.
Oh, right.
I went to a talk in Las Vegas about 10 years ago, and he was there.
There you go. Actually, I have Neve say that. I have heard of that, but I didn't.
Anyway, he talks about telomere shorting every time the cells replicate.
Yes, every time.
Tell us about telomeres.
So telomeres, I think most people know, they're like the little caps at the end of your chromosomes, and they basically protect it. So when the cell divides, it can impact chromosomes. Little bits can break off.
Yep.
So it basically protects that chromosome.
It's like a shoelace.
Yeah, like a shoelace.
Little plastic thing.
What do we say, Stephen? An aglet. Shoelace aglet. We were trying to remember what the thing at the end of your shoe. It's a shoelace aglet, apparently.
Jeez.
All those people want to know.
I thought you were swearing at me.
Trivia night out there. So it's like the little shoelace aglet at the end of your chromosome, and it basically protects it.
See, now I'm learning new words, not just nerdy ones, but silly ones I'll never use again. I thought that was something you wore around your ankles.
That's an anklet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not an aglet.
Aglet.
Yeah. So
are you making up words now?
No, seriously,
okay,
no, not at all. And that can actually shorten. So as your cells continue to divide, it will shorten a little bit. But there is some evidence to show that plant compounds can support the activity of telomerase, which is the enzyme that actually helps to elongate telomeres.
What we want.
So we want to make sure that we're activating our telomerase activity. But see, I've got here, did you know, Steve, over the average human lifetime, the body's cells divide up to 10 quadrillion times.
Jeez. That's a lot of zeros.
So that's a lot. That's a lot of time for cells to be damaged.
10 quadrillion?
10 quadrillion, up to 10.
Yeah. I think that's... I don't know. It's like 4 zeros on top of a trillion. I don't know.
That's a lot, right?
That's a lot.
So that's a lot of opportunities for DNA to snap off your chromosomes.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure your telomeres are staying nice and healthy and as long as possible.
Yeah.
So
they shorten as we age.
Yeah. So they shorten as we age.
What's that called? Process.
That's called telomere shortening is called telomere attrition.
That's it.
So
I love that word.
We want to stop telomere attrition, and we want to.
Well, I do because I'm so old.
Activate our telomerase to elongate our telomeres.
I'm just hanging out to find out how to do this.
There you go. Wow, do you want to know what short telomeres are associated with, Steve?
Oh, go on, tell me.
You don't want to
because this is going to be me. What is it?
Well, declines in brain and immune function, visual acuity. Oops, we're both wearing glasses.
Mine's stronger than yours.
Yeah, that's right. Weakening of the heart and blood vessels. Yeah, so we don't want to have short telomeres.
We don't want that. Come on, tell me, how do I elongate these things? And don't say resveratrol again.
Oh, Steve, I have resveratrol. So resveratrol can activate telomerase.
No, we don't sell resveratrol here, by the way.
We don't know.
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea, but it's just not something we do. But, geez, I'll tell you what, so if you're wondering why we're promoting it, they're probably flop. No, we don't.
We're not. We want to put the information out there to help people. So it's not all about, about product flocking or anything.
And what else? Come on, what else?
So silymarin, so St. Mary's thistle again.
Thistle again.
It's the same cast, really. Astragalus. Yeah,
love that herb.
Yep. Vitamin D.
Yep.
So there's a little study here where a group of overweight Americans at a dose of 2,000 IU a day, so not even a big dose, a pretty small dose.
I'd take 5,000.
Yeah. That increased the subject's telomerase activity by more than 19%.
What? That's good.
Listen to this one.
What?
Vitamin C. Very
acid,
good. Yep. Acid again, activating telomerase. So there's a study here demonstrated that, and we've got links if people want the links to the studies, that telomere shortening can be reduced by up to 62% on untreated controls in cultures, mind you, in human blood cell vessels with vitamin C.
Wow.
How awesome is that?
So an in vitro study. And that's amazing. Look, vitamin D and vitamin C are probably the most two common supplements on the planet.
Yeah.
And so, you should be on them. And
yeah, definitely.
And what other vitamins can do?
Vitamin E.
E.
Yep. So it slows the shortening of age-related telomere reduction.
It's good
as
stuff,
well.
isn't it?
EPA, DHA, so pretty much what we're talking about in the first part. Fish oils again. So there's another study here, and I've got links if you want them. Measured telomere length in humans given fish oil. The results showed that reducing omega-6 fatty acids and increasing your omega-3 resulted in increasing your telomere length. So that's really good as well. B vitamins, because high homocysteine levels can actually shorten your telomeres as well. So you want to get your B vitamins in, lower your homocysteine levels, and apparently that can help also.
And you're going to tell me I've got to exercise. Hopefully just going for walks enough, is it or not?
Sorry, Steve. Yeah, you're going to have to exercise, but unfortunately a walk isn't going to do it.
It's not going to do it.
It's not going to do it. So studies show that high-intensity interval training.
The worst kind.
See, this is something you do, aerobic endurance training as well.
Yeah.
So you're running really good for that. I showed the more benefit than regular aerobic training. And sadly, because this is my favourite, resistance training didn't really show me much benefit at all.
Not for this, does it?
No.
It does other things?
Yeah,
I'm not saying
amazing
it's
for other
bad,
things. No.
but what about some weird stuff that we can do?
Well, if you have just a handy old hyperbaric oxygen chamber in your backyard or your
I've got
back
one at
room,
work
then
here.
jump in that.
It's part of my rider that I come and do this
That's
podcast.
right.
I get hyperbaric oxygen.
Yeah, but
I wish I
hyperbaric
did.
oxygen therapy can increase telomere length.
Oh.
And it's a senolytic, which we're getting to senolytics as well. Yeah, so I think
love
that's
the other name for senolytic cells. They've got a really cool nickname.
Oh, I know. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But apparently LA, this is getting quite big. They've got hyperbaric oxygen therapy rooms that people go to and jump
They're in
in
Brisbane
these.
too.
Are they?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I see. I live in the
I was
bush.
talking to one of the sales rep today, and you live in this.
I live in the bush. There's nothing out there.
Oxygen hasn't been invented out there yet.
No, it has not.
No, I should say that. You live in a great part of the world. But yeah, they have a hyperbaric oxygen chambers here.
Well, there you
one of
go.
the
So
sales
people
guys
can
was-
jump onto it or into it
into it,
Yeah.
literally, and then get pressurized.
and get pressurized. So, yeah, increase your telomeres and
Now-
kill off your senescent cells, which we're going to
Now,
talk about.
senescent cells. What's the nickname
Senescent
for 'em?
cells, zombie cells.
I love that. Can we call them zombie cells?
Yeah, let's call them
It's just
zombie
like
cells.
zombie.
I know.
I
It's
just want to say zombie on
apocalypse
podcast.
is going on in everyone's body.
Yeah,
I
well,
know.
they kind of are zombies, aren't they, the cells?
They are zombies, yeah, and we'll explain why they're zombies.
Yeah.
So,
What are they?
Well, so when you age, your body accumulates lots of damaged cells,
So I'm
right?
virtually a zombie now. Yeah, good.
That's right. So when they get damaged, when they age, they become damaged, and they go through kind of an aging process as well, and it's called cellular senescence.
Yeah, I know about that.
Yeah. So basically, what happens if they replicate too many times, they can get damaged, and they kind of aren't really useful anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So what they do is they release a compound, and the compound is called SASP. SASP. So
I love these things.
senescence associated secretory phenotype.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they secrete this compound, and that sort of gets the attention of the immune system, and the immune system will come in and clean them up and kill them off. But what can happen is they can get to the point where the immune system won't be activated, and so these cells actually are sitting there and they're not dying, but they're not really doing anything metabolically either. So they're kind of just sitting there. So like a zombie.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything, but they
just
won't die,
wandering
and they're
the
just wandering
streets.
around. And what they do when they wander around is they can actually spread this SASP to surrounding cells and turn them into senescent cells as well. So therefore the
It's
zombie
like a zombie
apocalypse.
apocalypse. So a really easy one to study because they are zombie cells.
They are zombie
go around,
cells,
they bite, or, leave crap and
and they
cause other zombie
spread
cells.
themselves around. And they do, there's, I don't know if it's a SASP, but they excrete like a blue kind of a dye.
Oh, I didn't know it was
And
blue.
I think they did it in mice.
Okay.
And then the older you get, the more blue dye you have. So that's showing that these senescent cells do build up as you get older. And obviously they're, attaching to all these surrounding cells and saying, hey, come and join the apocalypse. So then we're getting more and more and more. So we want to kill off these senescent cells.
Of course we do.
Because these are contributing to aging along with all the other things that we've spoken about.
Yep.
So, Steve, how do you think we do that?
No, you're not going to tell me it's got like quercetin again and something like that. What kills these guys off?
Quercetin, Steve.
Oh, Jesus.
Quercetin.
I'm where's my phone? I'm going to order some now. Resveratrol, quercetin, all this sort of stuff.
Order that. So quercetin, very good for killing. These are what are called senolytics. So senolytics are what kill senescent cells. So quercetin, quercetin is another one.
that's
you don't
more
see
potent,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's more potent. You don't see it around as much, but apparently it's more potent than quercetin. But I think quercetin.
Plenty.
Very good. Specific form of quercetin too, because quercetin's not overly absorbable. So you want to get a good form of it.
I have it on empty stomach helps.
Yeah, so some say empty stomach and some say with food. So it depends. I mean, I do both. Sometimes I'll have one dose on an empty stomach and another dose with food.
No
That
wonder you
way
look so frigging young.
I'm trying to cover all bases.
I am not even on that.
And I take a good form. I take a phytosome form basically because it's more absorbable, more bioactive. So, and that way I don't need to take as much of it. You can take a lower dose and get the full effect. Yeah. So good quality quercetin. Luteolin.
Yeah, it's good.
That's a really good one as well.
Good one.
Yeah, and curcumin. So there's some top ones that help. They're good senolytics. Exercise as well, Steve. We're going to get to exercise. So exercise is a bit of a senolytic as well. Kills off your senescent cells, your zombie cells. So what have we looked at? We've looked at activating our AMP-K pathway.
AMP-K. I'm just going to acronym them.
NRF2.
Yep.
Oh, mitochondria.
NRF2. Mitochondria.
Getting mitochondria healthy.
Yep.
Activating your sirtuin genes.
Yep. Sirtuin genes.
Increasing your NAD levels.
Yep.
Killing off your mTOR. So we're reducing our mTOR activation, and we're AMK. Yep, we said AMK. Come on, Steve,
I don't know.
keep
I'm
up.
losing track of all these three-letter things. We're talking about zombie cells.
Killing off. We want to kill our zombie cells as well.
Oh, Jesus. So this is like. So there's compounds, and I can't remember all of them for all of them, but resveratrol features heavily.
Resveratrol, yep, a really strong feature. Quercetin, yep.
Turmeric. Luteolin.
Yep. Silymarin.
Yep. Milk thistle.
Yep.
So just those
them
five
alone, amazing.
And they're good for so many things. Like Silymarin we use to repair your liver.
Yeah, really good for liver.
So great for that. Turmeric is good for any sort of inflammation in the body. So that's a good one too. And resveratrol is good for absolutely everything.
Yeah, it's great.
Quercetin is an anti-inflammatory, really good, stabilising mast cells, immune system, viruses. I mean, you wouldn't, CoQ10, we haven't mentioned much.
We didn't mention that, but we did mention that. But
lipoic acid we mentioned earlier. I mean, these are cool supplements that are healthy and natural that we should be having every day if you wanted to live forever.
Yeah, exactly.
And as Queen said, who wants to live forever?
Right. Exactly. Who does want to live forever?
That's the only time I get to sing on these podcasts.
I know. I let you go, Steve, because I just feel bad. I don't want to shut you down. But so there's some really good supplements that we can use. But then we've got some lifestyle things we can do as well,
Steve.
Screw
those. No, you're right. There's exercise, but...
Well, we talked about exercise. So it boosts NAD levels.
Yep.
It builds more mitochondria, as we said. Would you want to know? This is pretty cool. So
tell me,
because I like to know how things work.
Yes,
like I'm a breakdown of things. So when you start exercising and you get quite puffed quite quickly.
Yes.
And then you exercise a little bit more, and then you find, I'm not so puffed.
Yeah.
And then a little bit longer, so you don't get as breathless the longer you go on. The reason is because you're making more mitochondria, which is making ATP, so you're getting more energy, and it makes more blood vessels, so you're getting more
angiogenesis.
Exactly. So that's helping with your oxygen as well. So that's why you get a little bit less breathless as you go along. So you're making that mitochondria, increasing your oxygen, all that sort of thing. Can reduce senescent cells, as we said.
Yep. Zombie cells. Don't call them senescent cells.
Zombie cells. So exercise, really good. But then on the other hand, we want to do the fasting, but we also want to activate mTOR for our muscle mass, because good muscle mass is attributed,
quality proteins,
associated with longevity as well. Because, as you get older, the less muscle mass you have, obviously, there's a lot of other issues that go along with that, but also falls.
Yep.
So more inclined to get falls if you're not as stable, you don't have that muscle. And then if you do fall, the healing outcome is better if you have better muscle mass than if you don't as well. So so that's really, really important. And this is a big one, and we're doing right now, and I've been doing it all day. Sitting is the new smoking. Really bad for our longevity.
I've been in meetings all day and standing around all day. And
we all do it. And a lot of people have desk jobs. So they get up in the morning, they go to work, they sit at a desk all day, they come home, sit down, eat their dinner and go to bed. So they're sitting continually. And there's studies showing that there's a level of muscle atrophy in your glutes and even your quads when you're sitting all day.
So my ass is shrinking?
Yeah, it's just shrinking, Steve.
I can't believe it can shrink anymore.
I know. So get up. I mean, I've got a standing desk at home. So I use a standing desk, and I stand up a lot, and then when I sit down, I've got a mini cycle under my desk. So
really?
So when I sit,
serious?
Serious. I can't sit still. I hate sitting still. So I'll pedal. It's under the desk. So it's not like, it doesn't make me puff, but it moves my legs, and so I'm moving. Yeah. And then when I'm not sitting and pedaling, I'm standing. So there's things you can do to offset having to be, rather than sitting all day at a desk, because that's a terrible thing to do. So So exercise, movement, obviously really good. And then here's another one for you, Steve, which is like all the rage at the moment. Let's just guess. Cold therapy. Yeah, cold therapy, really good for
shrinkage.
Apparently really good for shrinkage as well. So cold therapy, and they're thinking the mechanism behind this anti-aging is it activates brown fat.
Oh, yeah.
You're shivering.
Yeah.
So babies have high amounts. I didn't know this. Babies have high amounts of brown fat because they can't shiver until they're about 1. So they have this brown fat that actually keeps them warm. So adults actually have brown fat as well, but it's mainly on our back.
Yeah, and it's less.
Yeah, so there's less of it. So, but when that brown fat is activated, it obviously helps our metabolic function. It can turn white fat to beige to brown.
Yep.
So that's really
so
good.
So can exercise.
And so can exercise as well.
Exercise.
So there's a gene called PRDM16.
Oh, that
actually what turns that white to brown.
It really mitochondrializes your white cells.
That's right. And there's mice studies showing that mice that lack that gene have no brown fat, and they also develop type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease.
Oh, yeah, they would.
Brown fat has more mitochondria.
Yep, because that's what it is. The colouring is the mitochondria.
Yep. And the mitochondria in your brown fat's a little bit different. So they contain high levels of uncoupling proteins.
Oh, that's what we want.
Yeah. So these insert into the membrane of the mitochondria and allow protons that were built up to leak through the cell rather than be pumped out. So this creates less free radical production or free radical damage. So then less free radical damage is obviously going to be beneficial down the track as well. So increasing
I'm going to have to get back in an ice bath, aren't I?
I know, and I don't know. I mean, I'll do a cold bath and a cold shower, but I just can't do the ice bath thing. I just can't. Ugh. And then on the other side of the scale, and there we go back to hormesis as well.
Yep,
so that's a little bit of a stress on the body. Exercise is a stressor on the body. Cold and heat is also a stressor on the body. So heat therapy. There's a lot less research around heat therapy. I think it's not as popular because who wants to be hot, really?
Well,
I don't.
I'm hot already.
But that's true.
Our video guy
who wants to feel the heat from being in a hot environment? I mean, everyone wants to be hot, I suppose, yes. But so heat it creates hormesis again.
Yep.
And heat shock proteins help to fold proteins correctly and stimulate beneficial pathways for health, such as building new blood vessels, more mitochondria. So in worm models, turning up heat shock proteins cause them to live longer. So there you go. So get a little bit of heat in there as well.
Wow.
Be a little bit, get hot, be uncomfortable. Yeah, pretty easy in Queensland.
Yeah, it happens a lot for me.
Yeah.
And on the weekend for me, I was working.
Yeah.
So this is amazing. I mean, there's so many things we can do to live longer.
Yeah.
And you've just touched on a few, and we've really run out of time. It's only late in the evening now. But isn't it refreshing? Because someone's like, oh, there's all this, I've got a sick this, I've got whatever disease. This is about, no, I've done all that. Now I want to move onward and live longer.
Got everything healthy, on track, then you want to start implementing some of these anti-aging things. And we can also track as well. So that we don't have time to talk about trackers, but trackers can be another way.
They're good.
Blood markers particular blood markers that we look at for aging. And there's bioage testing as well.
There is.
So and they're amazing. They look at your biological age versus your chronological age, your pace of aging, your telomere length, weight loss response report. So really good way to look at what your biological age is and where you're sitting in the aging.
And you
can test. That's a test you can do.
You can't manage what you can't measure. So this is a great direct measurement.
I think test and measure is amazing. I mean, look, people say, oh, naturopaths test a lot. I don't over-test, but we have this technology and we have the resources available that we didn't have before. And tracking is an amazing way to sort of, measure how things. You can't do something and then not track to see if it's working.
No.
So, and I kind of look at it like your car and your car. So you take your car to the service, get it serviced every now and then. You have your dashboard. It gives you all your readouts of everything that's going on, so you can track what's happening, what's not happening. So why are we not doing that for ourselves? We get our own dashboard and our own health dashboard to see where we're at. We put ourselves through all these processes to keep our bodies nice and healthey.
Measure yourself.
So I love tracking. I mean, I said, I do a lot of experiments and tracking on myself.
Some of them work.
Some work, some don't. But hey, it's for the good of the people.
But what a great list of supplements you gave, and they're readily available. They're not not super expensive. No. Most of them are readily available from most health food shops, or they can see you to get the quality stuff.
Look, just be careful what you get. That's all I will say. Is the quality of some things and the form of some of them as well. So make sure you're getting the right things. I use practitioner products because they're quality. So, but yes, this is definitely obtainable for everybody. So,
and everyone should be on this path. I really believe that. You want to increase your health span. I didn't say lifespan.
No, health span.
Because you want your health span. Everyone knows what that is now. What an amazing roundup. Well, that's about all we've got time for. But I think if we live longer, we can do more of these podcasts.
That's right. So we better go and get our resveratrol.
All right, I'm going now. I'm going to get it. Bloody amazing.
And our non-eating, Steve.
Not eating. I can manage that for 5 minutes. Well, we're all that time. So we'll see you all next week.
Yeah, see you guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.